So the Knuckles TV show is officially out, and it is an enjoyable series. However, I do agree with the majority of people that are criticizing the show in terms of it focusing so much on the human characters and not as much as it should do on the titular Knuckles character. And it can feel a little bit childish at points, and like I said in my non-spoiler review, this is a little bit of a shame, as the Sonic franchise from a video game perspective, as well as in some of the cartoons as well, it really isn't afraid to tackle really dark mythologies. And I just feel like the Knuckles TV show just skewed it a little bit too much towards a younger audience. But outside of those two main criticisms, I did actually enjoy this show, and as a massive Sonic the Hedgehog super fan, I am just loving the fact that the live action universe is just expanding, and I just hope that we get so many more movies, so many more TV show spin-offs, as the Sonic world has got such awesome characters, and I just cannot wait to see all of them coming to life so well. And I really do like the fact that, you know, they really do focus on Knuckles being a real fish out of water, and all of his ancient warrior aspects really does come at odds with how life is on Earth, even though I feel like a lot of people can learn a lot from Knuckles' drive, his ambition, his loyalty, and I absolutely loved it. Even though it was only in one episode, just the differences that Sonic has versus Knuckles. Of course, Sonic has assimilated himself into Earth over the past couple of years, and just the differences of perspectives between these two characters, which was then kind of extended with Knuckles and then Wade. And I actually really liked the villainous characters. I feel like Knuckles and the villainous characters were absolutely brilliant, and they just built up the buyer so much. And I actually thought that the character was quite clever in terms of him being a former lackey of Robotnik and then kind of wanting to break away from that. It's just such a shame that his final fight was just so short in length, because pretty much that final episode was all dedicated towards the bowling aspect with Wade and his father. And whilst there were certain enjoyable moments in that bowling final confrontation, I just feel like it just sucked up far too much of that sixth and final episode. Whereas they could have just developed the buyer and that Knuckles final confrontation so much more. Maybe they ran out of editing CGI budget, maybe that fight was longer, but they just had to reduce it because of what they were able to afford. But like I also said in my non-spoiler review, I absolutely loved the two henchmen. I thought they were really good. Similarly, you can see their ambition for why they're on the dark side. I feel like they camped up all of their humor from an evil perspective really well. And actually, having Knuckles' powers was really intimidating, and I feel like they looked really cool with the red energy and all of the punches and all of the guns. All of that stuff just looked so awesome. And the final couple of episodes, they were actually pretty threatening, especially when they had tied up all of Wade's family. They were nearly going to kill Knuckles. All of those final battle sequences, as far as those two villainous characters are concerned, was actually really impressive. As a Sonic purist and a real champion for Silver the Hedgehog, I feel like he is such an underrated and underestimated character. I was a tiny bit disappointed that the Flames of Disaster, which are so pivotal to Silver's backstory, and I feel like was such a massive part of Sonic 06, are just being used over here as weapons for Knuckles to use. I mean, it was pretty cool when he did use the Flames of Disaster right at the end of the final episode, but I just feel like the backstory in terms of him going into this yoga trance where he's battling this awful Flames of Disaster Iblis type character, I feel like it was a little bit of a disservice to the potentially brilliant Silver the Hedgehog storyline. And I did like the Wade character. I mean, you are rooting for him. I just feel like in some respects and in some sequences, he did kind of overstay his welcome. But I did really like I said, the relationship between him and Knuckles. I feel like you are rooting for this character from an emotional perspective, as well as always being a bit of an underdog. And I feel like his journey of growth across these 6 episodes was actually pretty nice. And I thought that the 5th episode was pretty emotional right at the end, when it seems as if Wade has handed over Knuckles to the villainous characters because he wants to obviously save his family. You can totally see where he was coming from, but it was such a heartbreaking moment. And then it was so nice in the 6th episode when actually they used the earpiece that Knuckles was listening the whole time. So it did kind of remedy everything in terms of Wade's not giving up his best friend. And then in about 6 months' time, we are going to get Sonic 3. So I just literally cannot wait to have Shadow the Hedgehog in the mix. Honestly, Sonic 3 is just going to be absolutely phenomenal, especially as they are going to be borrowing a lot from Sonic Adventure 2, which I'm sure everyone can agree is one of the best Sonic games ever created, so I cannot wait for that. But as far as the Knuckles TV series is concerned, not perfect, but it was a really enjoyable series, and so for all of those reasons, I'm going to give it a solid 6.5 out of 10. Now I'd love to hear from you. What did you think of Knuckles? Let me know your thoughts in the comment section below, and I look forward to seeing you in my next video.